Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my review of TNA, Impact Wrestling, GFW Impact Wrestling, whatever the fuck they're calling this thing now. I don't even know what to call this thing because I've been reading sites online that says that that Impact Wrestling rebranded into Global Force Wrestling (GFW), but the website I'm reading off of it says that it's called um, TNA Impact Wrestling. So I have no idea what they're calling this damn company now, which sucks right now. But because I thought by Slammiversary I would know, but Slammiversary they were calling it Impact Wrestling. It was called Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, and it really wasn't. The only thing that was really mentioned of GFW was the titles that people were holding. The GFW Tag Team Championships, the GFW Women's Championship, and the GFW World Championship. So, not sure still what this damn name of this company is called, but hopefully I will find out by the end of this show or as I'm watching it. But I still don't know. But yeah, I'm going to be reviewing GFW, Impact Wrestling, TNA Impact Wrestling, whatever. This episode is took place on July 6, 2017, but you can obviously tell that from the title of this video. And first time I'm actually going to be watching an Impact Wrestling actual show since the uh, since it first aired on Pop TV. So it's going to be interesting to see how they follow up Slammiversary because I actually thought that was a pretty good show. So I'm actually looking forward to that, seeing what they're going to do. So now that I've kind of covered it, let me just get right into the review. I'm going to structure my review just like I did with Slammiversary, where after each match or segment I'll come on here and talk about it. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so the first thing that we see um, LAX backstage, and they're all just bragging, drinking beers and stuff. Um, and Konay pretty much talked about how they're the greatest wrestling faction in professional wrestling, and he said that tonight we're going to have the biggest guy because we're going to review our new member tonight on Impact Wrestling. Didn't really care much for this backstage segment. It wasn't really a good way to start it off. It was pretty much the same promo they cut on the pay per view, so really didn't care much for it. All right, so we have the actual show itself. We had the Pokey D'Angelo, Janelo, Josh Mathews, and Jeremy Borash on commentary for this show. And the show opens up. Alberto El Patron comes out with his father, Dos Caras, and his brother. I don't remember his name, not going to lie. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, he talks about how tonight we're gonna party because that's what Mexicans do. They party and they don't have to have a reason for it. But he says that tonight we're partying because last Sunday at Slammiversary he was in the fight of his life when he defeated Lashley for the to become the unified world heavyweight champion. And he says that Lashley, gave him the fight of his life. And he introduces his brother and his father. Talks about how much of an inspiration that his father was and how his brother is going to be competing in GFW Impact Wrestling very soon. And then Alberto El Patron continues to talk about, how if it wasn't for the fan support, he would have just stayed down and given up, but it's because of the support. And he said that now that he's the champion, he's going to give anybody an opportunity to fight for that title, no matter who it is, whether you're new, a top guy, whether you're from a different wrestling promotion. Um, and I thought he cut a pretty decent promo there. Then Lashley comes out and he talks about how it's a joke, how Alberto El Patron has all these decorations and stuff, but Lashley was the one that would constantly go out there and defend his Impact Wrestling World Championship. And he knocks over the champagne, and he pretty much, he calls Alberto El Patron a bitch, saying that he got a fluke win. He should be embarrassed that he's celebrating it. And he says that the next time they get in the ring, they're going to make sure that he keeps his father and his brother, that they build a wall around them and keep them where they belong, so that way it will be one-on-one, which I liked that line. and his brother slaps him in the face. And Lashley then's like, yeah, your dad hits harder than you do. And then the referees have to come break it up. And Alberto Patron says, we don't need these guys in here because I'm gonna beat the crap out of you, bitch, and I'm going to he pretty much accepts his challenge to face him for the Unified World Heavyweight Championship, and that was the opening segment pretty much. Overall, I thought this was a pretty decent opening segment. I thought Alberto Patron cut a fairly good promo in the beginning. When Lashley came out, I loved the stuff he was saying. Definitely one thing Lashley has improved on is mic skills. I remember he didn't always have mic skills, and I thought this did a pretty decent job setting up to the main event later on in the night. And then one thing I do want to mention though is Alberto Patron's theme song. That's terrible. I think that's pretty damn bad. So overall, other than that though, pretty decent opening segment. Okay, so next, Bruce Pritchard's backstage with Jeremy Borash, Josh Mathews, and the Pope D'Angelo De Niro, and Josh Mathews is being really cocky. He's like, yeah, congratulations. It only took a shark thumbtacks for you to finally beat me. And Bruce Pritchard is like, you know what? Yeah, you guys done bickering constantly because I've had to take heat for this on social media. And Jeremy Borash says, I don't know, are we done? He's like, I'm asking both of you. And then he goes off saying that if they get into any more physical confrontations with each other, they'll be fired. And Jeremy Borash says he understands. And then he tells the Pope D'Angelo De Niro, you too. And the Pope D'Angelo De Niro's like, but I'm the middleman. He's like, I didn't want any, I wasn't a part of this. He's like, well, you are now. And you saw Tyrus backstage, and he walks away with Tyrus. Don't really know what Tyrus's role is since I haven't been watching Impact Wrestling in a while. So I'll have to wait and see. But obviously, I didn't mind that they did this because, obviously this was kind of a way to finally end the storyline. And I hope Josh Mathews can kind of just go back to being a face commentator, even though in real life I think Josh Mathews is an absolute douchebag. Okay, so we had the first match. It was Caleb Konley versus Sonjay Dutt. This was pretty much just an all-white match, nothing special, but an all-white match. Caleb Konley dominates a good portion in the beginning. He hits an uppercut on him. He hits a clothesline on Dutt, and he hits a sunset flip in the corner, which was pretty cool. Then eventually Sonjay Dutt makes his comeback. He hits a drop kick out of the corner, and then eventually hits a splash off the top rope for the win. So yeah, all-white match there, nothing special. Afterwards, Sonjay Dutt gets attacked by Trevor Lee, and he beats the crap out of him. He afterwards gets on the mic and puts his foot over Sonjay Dutt's head, holds up his title, and says, and just like that, you're a new X Division champion, Trevor Lee. And he leaves with the championship. So yeah, this was really just average stuff here, nothing special. Alright, so next was a really bad interview segment with Team America. Apparently, they're having an 8-man tag team match. Team America consists of veterans of war, Grado and Eddie Edwards. Grado talks about how even though he's from Scotland, he considers himself American because he likes pie and all this other stuff Americans love. It was pretty terrible. I forgot about Grado. I really wish I could forget about him because he's just terrible. I don't even know. He's pretty much a comedy act, but none of his stuff is funny. I remember he tried to like back in 2015, he was trying to qualify to be in the X Division triple threat or whatever, and it was awful. And then Veterans of War talk about how they're going to win this because they have the experience. And then Eddie Edwards pretty much talks about how no matter who you are, you're always going to be considered American. So yes, Eddie Edwards, who just came off like a really hot storyline, is in this goofy crap. This was dumb. This was a terrible backstage segment. Next match was an 8-man tag team match. It was Team America, which consists of Veterans of War, Grado and Eddie Edwards, versus Eli Drake, Chris Adonis, Palaba, I don't know if that's how you say that or not, and Mario Bocala. I think that's how you say that. This was a terrible match. Who starts off the match? None other than one of the members of Veterans of War. I have to look up their names. One of them's name was Mayweather, who was Crimson. Um, can't really tell if Crimson's really improved because I haven't really seen much of him. This was the only match I've seen, so I'd have to wait and tell you because Crimson always was terrible. So yeah, that's just how it goes. Um, but his tag team partner, I forget his tag team partner's name, but he's working under the name Mayweather now, and his tag team partner is Wilcox. Wilcox and Eli Drake start off the match, and he pretty much gets manhandled. Um, and then Chris Adonis gets tagged in, he gets destroyed by Grado and stuff. And Grado's doing very well, and then Chris Adonis takes his head off with a clothesline. The heels get the heat on Grado for a while, then eventually Eddie Edwards gets the hot tag. He starts going off on what's his name? On Mario Bocala. Um, and he goes for his backpack jawbreaker, but then Bilal Ball hits a high impact cross body. Grado takes him out with an elbow drop, and then you know Veterans of War take out the big guy too with like a 3D. Chris Adonis takes out both members of Veterans of War with a double clothesline, and then Eddie Edwards takes out Chris Adonis with a drop kick off the top turnbuckle. Then he hits the Boston Knee Ball on well Mario Bocala for the win, and it was just a terrible 8-man tag, just really unneeded. And afterwards, Joseph Paul comes out and tells Grado some bad news with a piece of paper, probably telling them that he's going to be deported or something. And yeah, people do seem behind Grado, so I can definitely see why they utilize him, but I personally just didn't care about it. This was a terrible match. Okay, so next match was Matt Sidell. Everybody should know who he is. I'm not really going to mention he was in WWE before and stuff, huge indie stuff. But we had Matt Sidell versus Braxton Sutter with Allie ringside. This match was just there, nothing special about it. Um, wasn't bad. Just why? What was the point of this match? Um, they both started chain wrestling each other. Braxton Sutter. And actually, one comment that before the match actually started, Josh Mathews made, because he's still acting like a heel commentator, even though there's really no need for him to do so anymore. It actually makes him kind of annoying. Is he hated everybody in that match, and he talked about how Braxton Sutter dresses like the guy from the 3H's from the 90s, and everybody should know who he's referencing there. But we had the match. Braxton Sutter dominates the first half of the match with vicious right hands. And then Matt Sidell makes a comeback, hits a kick to the back of the head. He hits like a leg lariat on him. Braxton Sutter hits a scoop slam, and then eventually Matt Sidell hits a heel kick, and then he hits the shooting star press for the win. And yeah, after he wins, afterwards Braxton Sutter walks away pissed off and whatever. Who cared about this? Like this was nothing. This was just pointless. The match was just basic. Wasn't anything special. Okay, so next, Trevor Lee is backstage walking off with the X Division Championship, and he walks out of the building and he says, "What? You want to speak to me now? You want the camera on me?" He says that the reason why he walked out with the championship is because he was sick and tired of sitting on the bottom of the line, waiting for a shot at the X Division Championship, and now that he has it, he's put himself right on the top uh, of the list to get an X Division title shot. Um, Overall, I thought he cut a really good promo, and I actually like Trevor Lee. He seems like he has a nice look to him, and he's pretty decent on the mic. So, yeah, I'm gonna kind of wait to see where the storyline goes between Trevor Lee and Sonjay Dutt. The one thing I question though is why did they show the entire segment again between Sonjay Dutt and Trevor Lee and the match? Just why? But other than that, I thought Trevor Lee cut a pretty good promo here. Okay, next. LAX is backstage again, and Santana wants to know from Konnan who the new member of LAX is going to be. And Konnan talks about how everyone's been trying to talk and figure out who this new member is going to be. And he said that they're not going to even tell him who the new member is going to be. They said they're going to show him who the new member is going to be. And then they say that whoever this new member is going to be, it's going to make up this group bloody, more cold-blooded and colder, and the blue, and it's going to be like taking the blue pill. Um, and yeah, this was an alright backstage segment. Kind of sets up, the big storyline, so it wasn't anything terrible. Okay, so next we had the announcement of the GFW Super X Cup tournament for this year. They've had this tournament before, apparently, I've heard. They had it in 2003 and in 2005. So they're putting it back again this year. Um, and yeah, this segment was hosted by Jeremy Borash. And I'm reading it on Wikipedia here. We found out that the tournament is going to start. It actually started on this episode July 16th, 2017. And it says that the tournament will end on August 17th, 2017. Um, Now, it doesn't. I'm just going to kind of read. It says. Um, doesn't necessarily um, say what the winner of this tournament's going to get. There's like a big trophy that it has, but I'm assuming that the winner's also going to get a X Division Championship match. I think that's where it should lead to, obviously, because winning the tournament, you should get something else out of it, and I'm assuming you should get a X Division Championship match. I think that would make sense. But Jeremy Borash brings down all the competitors down to the ring, and we find out the participants. I'm going to say who they are now. We have ACH, who is representing um, AAAW. We have Andrew Everett, who's representing Impact Wrestling. We have Davey Richards, who's representing Impact Wrestling. We have Desmond Xavier, who's representing Impact Wrestling. We have Drago, who's representing AAA. Um, and Drago just looks sick when he sticks his tongue out. His tongue's actually black, and Drago just looks absolutely intimidated. I think he's awesome. Obviously I know him from when I saw him wrestle at Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. Um, and then we have Idris Abraham, who was representing Impact Wrestling and the Camden Dojo. We have Sammy Guevara, who's representing Cuba. And then we have last but certainly not least, Taiji Ashimura. I have no clue how to say that name, who's representing Pro Wrestling Noah, but he also wrestled um, at GFW, not GFW, at Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. Then Jeremy Borash announces the first round matches, and the matches are going to be Sammy Guevara versus Drago, ACH versus Andrew Everett, and Taji Mori versus Davey Richards. I liked how when Davey Richards, when his name was announced, he immediately just went right up in his face. I thought that was pretty cool. And the final matchup in the first round is going to be Desmond Xavier versus Idris Abraham. Um, and yeah, I guess I can't wait to see this tournament. Kind of can't wait to see who wins it. If I had to say right now, the person I know the best, and I think the person that would make the most sense to win it would be Davey Richards, considering the fact that he's kind of been doing the most. He's been getting pushed since he just came out of that Eddie Edwards feud. I wouldn't really mind him winning this tournament. So I would say maybe have Davey Richards win the tournament and go on to face Sonjay Dutt for the X Division Championship in the future. But then Joey Boras announces the first round matchup is going to take place right now, and it's going to be Desmond Xavier versus Idris Abraham. So that's pretty much it. I thought this was a pretty productive segment. It announced the tournament, and it pretty much announced something that's going to be taking up several weeks of television. So I thought this was pretty decent. Okay, so next we had a Super X Cup tournament first round match. It was Desmond Xavier versus Idris Abraham. before the match, both people had a little video package kind of giving you a little bit of an introduction to both competitors. First was Abraham. He talks about how he wants to prove that he's the best X division. He's the best in the X division in the entire world. Um, and he talks about how he hates Desmond Xavier. How he always hates that he does all the flipping and thinks that he can just everything's just going to be handed to him instantly. And he says that he's going to prove to Desmond Xavier that he's going to be the one to win the Super X Cup. Then you had Desmond Xavier have his video package. He talks about how he's happy to be new to Impact Wrestling, and he wants to make a name for himself right away. So he wants to win the Super X Cup because it would mean a lot to him. So I kind of like how they gave you a little bit of an introduction of both guys. And then we had the match itself. I actually thought this was a good match here. They both start chain wrestling each other. Desmond Xavier hits a head scissors. He goes for a big high move, but Abraham counters it with a drop kick in midair. Then he hits a suicide dive on the outside, and he just really starts to dominate Desmond Xavier. Starts to hit wicked clotheslines on him, and he hits wicked right hands in the corner. Eventually, Desmond Xavier starts to make his comeback. He hits a back suplex, and he hits like a shoulder tackle, and then he hits a then he hits a cutter just really quick out of nowhere. I thought that was cool. And then both competitors start going back and forth. But eventually, Desmond Xavier wins with a corkscrew arrow, and that was the end of the match. Desmond Xavier advances. But overall, I thought this was a good match here, good solid match, and yeah, if the like I said, you don't really want to have the first round matches in tournaments be show stealers. So I like that this, but I still thought that this was a good match here for both competitors. Okay, so next, Gail Kim gets interviewed, and she says that she has a big announcement that she's going to make next week, but unfortunately, because of injuries and stuff, she hasn't been able to make it, but she'll be ready next week after she has some things organized. So I'm guessing, I'm hearing that she's possibly retiring, but I will give my thoughts more on that next week. Well, when I review because next week's episode's already happened, but when I review that episode, I will talk about it more. Next, it shows a video package of Fuji. He wrestled at Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. I thought he looked pretty well, and I guess he's going to be coming to GFW Impact Wrestling. Can't wait to see what he has to bring to the table. So nothing really more I have to say there. Can't wait to see what he has to bring to the table, though. Okay, so next, Desmond Xavier gets interviewed, and he talks about how the Super X Cup has had some of the best wrestlers in the world competed in it, and now you have me competed in it. And then he gets asked what the name of this finisher is, and he said that it's the Super Flash, and it won't be the last time you see it. So I thought he cut a pretty solid promo there. Next, Moose gets interviewed, and he finds out that next week he's going to be facing Morrow. Uh, no, Michi Marufuji, the guy that just had that video package I just talked about. Um, Next week for the Impact Grand Championship, and he talks about Moose talked about how he's looking forward to facing him for that title. Then Ethan Carter the third walks up, and he talks about how there's some outsider wrestling him for that championship. Um, but yet he's been carrying this company for 4 years, and how he won his match at Slammiversary, and how he's a Carter, but yet he doesn't get a title shot. And then Moose tells him that it doesn't matter who you are. You all you have to do is wait in the back of the line with the wrestler, wait your turn, and then you can get an Impact Grand Championship match. Then EC3 says no, and he says that when he sees something he wants, he goes after it. And then Moose tells him that he'll never forget the name Moose. 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 So I thought this was a pretty good backstage segment here, and I'm actually down with seeing a Moose EC3 program for that Impact Grand Championship. All right, so then we had the next match. It was Rebel versus Sienna with KM ringside. Um, Bad match. Still don't really see the talent in Sienna, but I definitely see the hotness in Rebel. Probably gonna be thinking about her for a while, but yeah, this match is pretty bad. Rebel at first does very well, but then she gets taken down by a clothesline by Sienna. She hits an awful throw on Sienna. She hits a Samoan drop. Rebel starts to make a comeback, and eventually she goes to hit a clothesline off the ropes, but then Sidell goes after KM, but KM just picks her up, just puts her in the ring, and then Sienna gets her into like a guillotine choke, and Rebel taps out. Sienna wins the match. I just don't see the talent in Sienna. I don't really get why they made her the unified um, Impact Knockouts champion and the GFW Women's Champion. It just didn't really make any sense. I just don't really see the talent in Sienna. I just don't. She's just not good to me. That's just my opinion, though. Okay, so then we had the main event. It was a Undisputed Unified World Championship match. Undisputed Unified World Champion Alberto El Patron versus Lashley. Um, I thought this was a pretty good main event. I thought the Slammiversary match was better though, but this was still a good main event. Um, Alberto El Patron gets the upper hand at first on Lashley, but then Lashley, starts to get the upper hand, beats the crap out of him, manhandles Alberto El Patron, throws him into the steel post a ton of times, chokes him, um, and he just really dominates Alberto El Patron. But then Alberto El Patron makes his comeback, hits a tornado DDT out of the corner. He hit, hits a arm breaker, and then Lashley comes back by hitting a power bomb, a spine buster, and they both really go back and forth. Then eventually Alberto Patron goes off the top rope, but then he gets caught by a spear by Lashley. Lashley hits the Dominator on him. He goes for the spear again. Then Santana from LAX gets on the top turnbuckle, goes to jump on Lashley. Lashley catches him, throws him out of the ring, and then LAX just beats the crap out of Lashley. They just mug him, and Konnan announces that Impact Wrestling has been burying LAX for years, but now that's not going to happen anymore because now the newest member of LAX is Alberto El Patron, and then they pick up El Patron and they walk off. So the question I do have though is why would you have the main have you have the main event at your pay-per-view that you expected people to pay money for? Why would you just come back on literally your next on GFW Impact Wrestling right afterwards and just do the same main event that people are just going to get for free? It diminishes the pay-per-view with those very few that TNA has left. And then, yeah, I didn't really mind the fact that they, I guess, did a fuck finish. I don't really mind the fact that Alberto El Patron joined up with LAX because now looking back at it, because of everything that's been going on in his real life, it's going to be really hard for people to cheer for Alberto El Patron. He's not going to get over as a face now, so I guess turning him heel. Not really necessarily sure if he is a member of LAX, though, just because of the fact that you have Alberto El Patron. He really wasn't with it because he had just been beaten up, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. I thought that I thought though the LAX I guess looked decent. They're not my favorite faction, but they're an okay faction. Um, Konnan I don't really think is all that great on the mic. Um, and the segment I thought just kind of came off as eh. It's really weird because now Lashley I guess is going to turn face, but I think he's better off being a heel. But Alberto El Patron kind of needs to be a heel, so I guess they did a double turn. It was weird. But overall, the main event I thought was fine. I thought what they did was fine, so I didn't I'm not gonna really complain about it. Okay, so now I'm gonna give you guys my star ratings for each match, and then I'm gonna give you my overall thoughts on the show. For the Sonjay Dutt Caleb Konley match, I'm gonna give that match 2 stars. It was really just an average match that was there. Matt Sidell and Braxton Sutter, I'm gonna give that match 2 stars for the pretty much the same reason. For the 8-man tag team match, I'm gonna give that half a star. I thought that was a terrible match. Um, for the knockouts match, I'm gonna give that 1 star because I also thought that was a bad match. And then for the uh, Super X Cup tournament first round match, I'm gonna give that match 3 stars. I thought that was a good match here where the white person went over, and it was a match that actually had some consequences behind it. So I actually thought that was a good match. And then for the main event, the Undisputed Unified World Championship match, I'll probably give that match um 2.5 stars. I did think I thought it was a pretty decent match. Um, not as good as the match at Slammiversary, but I thought it was a decent match. But it also did have a fuck finish, but the fuck finish didn't make sense. But I thought overall it was a pretty decent match. So I'll give that match probably maybe 2 and 3/4 stars. I thought that was a decent match. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna leave all my star ratings in the description box. Overall, it's really tough to kind of rate this show because there was a lot of crap on this show, like the 8-man tag, like I mentioned, the knockouts match. Um, what else did they have on this show that was crap? Um, it had a lot of meaningless matches like Matt Sidell and Braxton Sutter, and Sonjay Dutt and um, Sonjay Dutt and Caleb Konley, or whatever his name is. But I did like how and what else was on there? I didn't really like obviously Gradle, that whole storyline they're gonna do with him and Joseph Park. That's stupid. The backstage segment with Jeremy Borash and the commentators. The fact that Josh Mathews is still a heel on commentary. I get you did end off that feud, but really you should have just had Josh Mathews just become a face commentator because he's annoying as a heel commentator. Um, so that was like the crap on the show, but it did have some good segments. I did kind of like how they built up to the LAX stuff throughout the night. I liked, Gail Kim's interview segment that she had. I liked Alberto El Patron and Lashley's opening segment, built it up to the main event. I liked the announcement of the Super X Cup and the first round match. I liked that match. I liked the build up of a possible Moose and EC3 feud. Um, so there was some good things on the show, but overall, I am going to probably say that this was an average show. It really didn't feel like it was anything special. It did have some good stuff on it, but the bad do kind of overweigh the good, I would say, in this case, because there was a lot of bad stuff on this show and just stuff that just kind of felt like it was just filler. Even though, like, the main event then, it was just kind of also at the same time. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it was just kind of. I feel like if I did, I would crap on it more if Alberto El Patron wasn't such a douchebag in real life. That's why I'm fine with them turning him heel. So I will say it was an average show. Really, nothing was accomplished. Really, no reason to watch it. So not really the best first show to kind of watch for GFW Impact Wrestling. Not really a good follow up, I thought, to Slammiversary to that good show. So if I'm gonna rate this show, I'll probably rate it a 5 out of 10, just an average show. But yeah, let's hope we can get some better GFW Impact Wrestling shows, but only time will tell. Okay, so that will pretty much end off this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers and Owen the Talking Inner YouTube channels, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for more content. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.